So Elon Musk is on stage yesterday in front of a massive crowd in Wisconsin, trying to influence the Wisconsin Supreme Court race that is going on right now as we speak. He throws up a massive chart showing that it's claiming that illegal immigrants are using Social Security at massive record numbers, and they show up this chart and this data, and well, as we've kind of come to learn, when Elon says something, you kind of have to wait for the full story to come out, and more of the full story is coming out because the numbers that they actually showed up there were the EBE numbers, which is basically the Enumeration Beyond Entry numbers, which actually was a policy that started under Trump's first administration, and they showed the data that showed that it actually started during the Trump administration. So Elon is basically expecting everyone to just believe this claim that illegals are signing up for Social Security numbers based on a policy that Trump implemented. And he's throwing up these numbers not to say that some of them are illegals claiming Social Security numbers, getting Social Security numbers, but that all of them, all of this number are illegals claiming Social Security numbers. And the fact of the matter is, this policy basically created a system by, as soon as somebody legally entered the country, they automatically get assigned a Social Security number. And as we have seen legal immigration increase over the past several years. So it makes sense that this number would also go up. We also aren't being shown the data for all Social Security numbers assigned to non-citizens. It seems strange to me that his own chart stated that this was Social Security numbers to non-citizens, but it doesn't say in the chart that it's only for this one program. There are multiple programs by which a non-citizen can get a Social Security numbers, and this is just one of them. The fact that they're only showing us a small portion of the data tells me that there's probably a lot more to this story. And of course, he didn't provide any source at all, any evidence at all that any of these people were illegal immigrants. He also didn't provide any evidence at all that these people voted. He made this claim that they were using these numbers to get registered to vote, but he shows absolutely no evidence of either one of those things happening. So at this point, it's kind of he makes a bold, grand statement. After the next few days, he'll probably tone it down, and it'll probably come out that it's probably a load of crap. That seems to be the reasonable assumption at this point, because again, he hasn't actually revealed any evidence that what he's saying is true. He's just shown a chart of numbers going up and saying, well, the numbers are going up because of what I say they're going up for. And it's like, well, where's the reasoning behind this? Show us some information that makes you claim what you're claiming. Otherwise, why would we believe you?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, there's a good data science conversation to have here about how just wrong it is to use data like this, how improper the aggregation of the data is, how the data is being presented fraudulently as something it's not, how, all of these things, all of your points are good points, John. Look, there's a psychological point that I'm more interested in, which is that this is one of many of these sort of things we've seen time and again throughout the Trump campaign and the Trump administration, where people like Musk, people who are demagogues on the right, people who are administration officials, they do not use terminology like illegal alien, criminal alien. They don't use these terms as meaning-rich differentiators differentiators to parse out the population of immigrants coming to this country. They just use them as slurs. They're just slurs used to refer to the entirety of the immigrant community, the entirety of everyone here who is a non-citizen and resides within the United States. These are legal residents. These are people on valid extended visas. These are people who have received amnesty. These are refugees. These are people who have gone through a legal process. And the fact that over and over and over again, to Musk and people like Musk, these are just illegals, these are criminals, it is just a disparagement. It's not a meaningful piece of terminology. That's the real error that he's using here, is seeing that 2 million non-citizens have Social Security numbers and saying, that's Biden trying to give Social Security numbers to illegals. All these illegals have Social Security numbers because illegals just means not a U.S. citizen to him. Well, that's not an important distinction. It's not one we should recognize. Are there people that have not followed a legal process that reside in the United States outside of the prescribed immigration process? There absolutely are. What are the numbers of them? We don't know, because to Musk and the data that he's presenting, everybody who is here that's not a citizen is an illegal. And I like Do I need to make the case, John, that that needs to just be
I mean,
rejected?
listen, if somebody's going to say, a legal argument, it's kind of like saying, they played these games a few times, right? Trump isn't really a felon because XYZ. Trump really isn't a rapist because XYZ. They make these, play these word games to kind of obfuscate the issue. And I'm sorry, no, an illegal immigrant in America is not just illegal because you don't want them to be here, right? That means that they did not go through a legal process, approved legal process to get into this country. That does not mean you just don't want them to be here. And I had an argument about this with a family member, and I think I realized after the conversation that very much so that their definition of an illegal is someone who Biden let into the country legally, because they do not think he had the authority to do what he did. And I'm sorry if you think that there is a legal process, you can challenge Biden's decisions in court, just like a lot of Trump's decisions have been challenged in court. You can challenge Biden. So why didn't you? And maybe they did, and they failed on their merits. Well, okay, if that happens, you appeal. Well, the fact that they weren't able to get any of those appeals, any of those challenges moved forward tells me that their legal arguments were probably bunk. Okay, if your legal arguments are bunk, guess what? Your definition of illegal immigrant is also bunk because it doesn't apply, right? But yeah, again, this feels like a lot of what Elon Musk does, where he makes this grandiose claim and has to walk it back over time. Again, ultimately, here's the thing that I find funny: if you believe what Elon Musk is telling you about all these illegal immigrants getting Social Security, then you believe that Donald Trump gave over 500,000 of them Social Security numbers, because that's what his own data, what Elon Musk's data says. That's what you have to believe. And I'm sorry, I find that a bit silly. And so no, again, I'm only gonna really dig into things if I see any real hard evidence behind it. And so far, he's not providing any evidence. And I think one of the things you'll notice is that I think that's intentional. I think it's intentional that he's simply stating things without any proof behind them, because, well, if he doesn't show us any proof, we can't debunk that proof. Right, we can't research that proof, and so the only proof he ever is just a chart. Like, line go. His basic argument is line go up must mean there's illegals. Like, that is his entire argument for Social Security numbers going to illegals. And so it makes it really hard to debunk because there's nothing to debunk. There's no facts. There's no evidence behind anything that he's saying. So it's really tough to fight back against that, because you're just, it's one of those things. People are believing it on blind faith, and it's hard to argue against blind faith.